got a little girl here with a tall gentleman, and she looks so much like that Shasta, and we're not sure. I don't know.
It's just awfully weird to me. The girl looks exactly like the little girl in the season.
I don't think anything prepared me for the experience in the Groney murder investigation.
It's the type of case that I go home and have nightmares about.
He would pass by a location that clearly children lived there.
He sees Shasta playing in the front yard and surveils the house.
He had thought about everything to make sure that he was going to commit the perfect crime.
Shasta had an amazing ability to control him. It was Shasta that orchestrated her own rescue.
My mom loved music. We were just dancing around the living room, and she always wanted to cook and have food on the table every night when everyone was home, and I helped her cook a lot.
I've never met anybody in my life that was like him. He was friends with the kids that got picked on, but then he was also super popular. He was my best friend. She had actually come into the room and said that there's a man here that doesn't want us to be here. My stepdad Mark had said, "We don't have money." We were hearing bangs, and then he was screaming and yelling. I was in the house with my family members, and I didn't know if they were dead or not. He grabbed me, picked me up, and took me into the backyard and laid me under the tree next to my brother. He was sitting on the picnic table, and he was just, sitting up, and then he just laid down. He grabbed the hammer. He said, "See this hammer? This is the hammer that I murdered your mom and your stepdad and your brother with." And he was like, "They're not alive, and you're never gonna see them again."
I went to the door to pay the little kid $10 for mowing the lawn, and there's blood all over the door.
Oh.
Nobody comes through the door.
I don't think anything prepared me for the experience in the Groney murder investigation.
We have a homicide scene with one adult male, one adult female, and one juvenile male. Our main concern right now are the two children we cannot find.
like to address my children's abductors or abductor. Please, please release my children safely. They had nothing to do with any of this.
It is back to square one in the search for 2 Idaho children missing since Monday.
Police are following up hundreds of tips in their search for Shasta and Dylan Groene.
The fact that the bodies were so beaten up so badly, it made the crime appear to be a crime of passion.
You begin to think about who could have been so angry at this family to want to inflict such injury on these people.
He got really mad, started throwing things. He took more of his anger out on Dylan and was really mean to him. He would abuse him and then make me watch. And then if I cried, then he would abuse him worse. Dear Dad, I miss you very much, and me and Dylan know what happened to Mom, Mark, and Slade, and we both feel very sorry for them. And we both miss you and Jesse and Vance, and we might see you guys again. He just wanted us to believe that there was a chance that we would live or that we'd get out safe. I think after a certain amount of time, Dylan had started to lose hope that it was going to turn out good for him.
Somebody's going to turn themselves in that quickly. It's either going to be somebody who's feeling so much remorse for what they have done and they want to confess to it, or it's somebody that is completely innocent and wants to get it off their back.
I said, I promise that we're going to make it out alive. That was my way of comforting my brother, just letting him know that we would never stop fighting. He very vividly and in detail described murders of 2 sisters from Seattle, Amija White and Carmen. He would tell us the way that he had done it, where he had placed their bodies. When he had started telling us about the murders, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to pretend like I'm drinking this. I would ask questions about his life, ask him about his family, and could I meet them one day? It was a conscious thing, like I need to make him think that I love him or that I want to be here with him. I had just given him a hug, and so I was holding his hand, and I heard a loud bang, and then I felt my brother's hand slip from mine.
I couldn't even say anything, like I couldn't scream, I just didn't even know what to do. He came up to me and was crying. He said it was an accident, he didn't mean to. I didn't know what the first shot was, but I knew that the second time was on purpose. He said that he did it so that Dylan wouldn't have to feel pain. I was just confused, and I remember, like, I think for about a week I just didn't talk. I couldn't talk, I couldn't say anything, I was just frozen. He was like, just like, you have the choice to be strangled or you have the choice to be shot like your brother, and that one's gonna be quicker. I felt like if I had chose the strangulation, that I might have a chance to talk him out of what he was doing.
I kind of remember seeing my mom's face. I heard her voice, and then like I started to see white, and then everything kind of came back.
I had worked up enough breath to say, please don't jet. I noticed that when I would use that name with him, it would like soften a little bit, like it would soften him. And he's like, what did you say? He started crying, and he was like, I can't do this.
Anytime me going home was brought up, I would tell him, no, I don't want to go. I want to stay here with you. He'd be like, really? You could tell that it was starting to catch him off guard a little bit. He basically sat me down and asked if I would be his kid and I would stay with him, you know, that I would call him Dad.
He's like, I want to take you to meet my mom. Would you meet her? And I had said yes.
And I said, can you take me to where I grew up? Like, I want to show you where I went to school, and I want to show you where my best friend lives. Like, I want to show you all these places that are important to me because you're important to me. And he was like, yeah, of course, I would love to.
I remember just holding on to hope, but still feeling like there wasn't going to be any.
As I was walking in, I noticed that my missing persons poster was right there. There was this guy standing outside, and he was with his friends, and he nodded his head and I nodded my head, and he went up to the counter and made it kind of seem like he was conversating with one of the waitresses, and then I seen her look over at me.
They were my only table at the time, and I immediately recognized her. His entire world revolved around her. She didn't speak without his permission. There was something just not okay. I spoke to my manager, said, I think we should probably call Coeur d'Alene PD. I'm pretty positive that's Shasta Groney over there. I'll pay for their meal if I'm wrong. We need to get somebody up here.
I've got a little girl here with a tall gentleman, and she looks so much like that Shasta, and we're not sure. I don't know.
I remember thinking that he's so smart, and I was like, even if they know that I'm with him, maybe he will have an excuse and they'll just leave and they won't think that anything was wrong.
The whole entire restaurant started clapping. Like, they all knew who I was. They all knew that I was a missing person. And like, it was kind of like they all played a factor into my rescue.
Thought of an 8-year-old girl having to observe this and then having to relive it to an investigator after the fact is just amazing to me. She witnessed things that grown people would be traumatized for the rest of their lives and never be able to speak about.
I remembered everything. And then when I was found, I told the investigators what he had told me. I remember him telling me that he was able to get the dog to come to him, and he gave her treats and stuff and like befriended our pit bull so that when he did come into the house to do what he was going to do, there was not that type of issue to get in the way.
He had thought about everything to make sure that he was going to commit the perfect crime.
I think it's probably the single most disturbing piece of evidence, disturbing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
While the video is extremely disturbing, it is the absolute key piece of evidence prosecutors can use to send Joseph Duncan to death row.
Years of being involved in the criminal justice system, I have never a more evil person than Joseph Duncan.
He was just a really good brother to me, and that he was really sweet to people. Happy birthday, and tell Mom, Dylan, and Mark I love them and stuff, and hopefully we'll get to see them again.
I was happy to be in a safe place, but there was still that part of me that's like, well, what if this happens again? I just wanted to be a normal teenage girl. There was still court stuff going on with Joseph Duncan. There was still counseling that I had to do, and I didn't feel good about myself or the person that I was. So I think that all kind of pushed me over the edge. The judge was very honest with me, and she's like, Shasta, I feel like you do have a lot of help you can give people, and I feel like you're way better than what you're being. For a long time, like I always had this feeling that I could not have kids, but he's not gonna steal the fact that I can bring children into this world.
Things happen for a reason, I feel, and I believe in. Like my youngest son, had I never met his dad, he wouldn't be here, and how just things like that work. It was supposed to happen like that.
Shasta now focuses on all the support she's gotten from people she's met because of what happened to her.
I still keep in contact with the guy that I made eye contact with outside of the restaurant. His name's Nick Chapman. A couple of the other investigators and officers that worked on my case, they brought me to their house and I met their kids. They completely made my life so much easier. They allowed me to be a kid when I felt like I couldn't.
I don't hate him for the things that he's done. I forgive him, actually. If I don't forgive him, then he's gonna control my life. I want him to know that I'm doing good things with my life too, so that he knows that he doesn't control my life and that he doesn't affect me anymore. I know that I lived for a reason, and I know that there's a reason that I'm on this planet still, and that I know that I'm here to help other people. If there's anybody in the world right now that's being abused and they hear that I'm giving up, what would that do for them?